And welcome everybody to another episode of Mac Yak. Appreciate all you guys showing up tonight. And we actually have Grudy in here tonight, believe it or not.
Yay! He lives!
Ow. Buddy, we didn't bury him in a hole somewhere in a deep, dark woods.
Not yet.
Not yet, yeah.
Excuse me, I'm currently setting everything up because my internet decided to die on one of my systems.
No, it's not your
As
internet.
Your story for the past month.
It's not your internet, it's your computer that died.
Well, it's still the internet connected to that computer.
Uh-huh. What were you talking about, me blaming everything, Jay, the other day?
Oh, yeah. 7 weeks.
Shouldn't be anybody echoing right now.
I can check.
Hopefully not.
Dan just said echo.
Dan always says echo.
I think echo is Dan's favorite word.
Yeah.
And I'm in the
I don't hear
extra
any
squeaky
echo.
chair for you guys.
Oh.
If it's echoing, we're gonna blame Grudy for that, because.
Hey.
Should not be any echo at all.
It was
right
me.
now.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
No, it was me.
Oh, you had your audio on in the background?
Yeah, I didn't realize it. It was so low. I'm surprised because it's coming through my headphones. I'm surprised my microphone even heard it.
So, guys, we got a pretty good show for you tonight. Yeah, he says he thinks it's good now, so we're good. All right.
If Dan says we're good, we're
Yes.
good.
So tonight we got a pretty good show. So how's everybody been doing for this past week? I've been doing okay.
Yeah, no complaints here. Busy. I had my dad in town for a few months. He left yesterday, so I got a little bit more time. I wanted to spend as much time as I could, so time is opening up a little now. So maybe some more recordings.
I'll be right back.
Maybe some more blog articles. We'll see where it takes me.
Yep. Miss your blog articles, man. Need to get some more of that stuff. Some good information there. How about the rest of you guys?
I agree.
Lousy is hot.
Well, I'm here in Arizona, so it's always hot here. It's 81 outside right now still.
Yeah, but you guys have inside office jobs. I don't. I have to work in this crap.
This is true.
Well, it's not our fault.
Wow. That's a way to encourage people.
Yeah, just knock me down a peg because I've had the same job for 15 freaking years.
You must enjoy it then, right?
Really.
I like how we just all yelled at you for no reason. It's your profession. I mean, come on. I mean, I didn't yell at you, but
Remember that the next time one of y'all needs your cars fixed.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Well,
I'm gonna go tell you to change your damn muffler bearing.
Oh, there you go.
well, let me think about that. A muffler bearing. No. It's almost like telling somebody to go get some frequency grease.
Mm-hmm.
Or 100 foot of flight line.
Blinker fluid.
Yeah. All right, guys. So anyways, we're just stalling for a little bit of time here, but making sure everybody gets connected and up and running here. So let's go ahead and jump into our first topic of the evening, which is wallpapers. What's your favorite wallpaper on your Mac? Now, some of these guys are supposed to give us wallpapers, but they didn't do that. So either they're going to have to show their screen what they have, or Jay and I actually have produced some pictures, so we'll show you what we're actually running on wallpaper. I think some of us put it on Discord too, right?
I didn't.
I thought some of us put it
That's
on Discord.
mine.
Yeah.
Let's see, is it showing up on there? I can't.
It's
Yes,
just
it
one
is.
of mine. I've got like 1,000 Corvette pictures for my Macs.
so you're predictable then.
Anyways, guys, if you go to our Discord,
on screen.
yep, there's yep. If you go to our Discord, go ahead and upload your favorite desktop wallpaper, which you actually use on your driver, your daily driver.
Where are we going to enable the upload?
I thought you had a channel
So I
already
can fix the
uploaded for that.
permission.
Did you show
Not
mine,
for
Greg?
this.
No, I'm getting ready to. I haven't showed it
Not
yet.
for that.
So, anyways, let me see. Where did I put yours?
Is it the topic ideas? No, I don't know. One of those is opened up for it. I can't remember which one.
No, I'm trying to find Jay's where I put his because I know I stuck it on here. Hold on, Jay.
You just grabbed it 5 minutes
I
ago.
know, and I put it in here. God, man, that thing is huge. Hold on, I gotta get it. Dude, that's not like a. What the?
What?
I'm gonna. Really?
What?
All right, this
What
is
did he
Jay's
do?
wallpaper, guys. So just to let you know.
I have to take a look and see this myself.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for YouTube to show it.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's basically what is that? The aqua for tiger.
that is Tiger, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the best one. Yeah.
That's
what I
been
use.
My wallpaper since Tiger.
So you don't use any like your own personalized wallpapers then?
I tried. I got some really good panoramic shots of the city I live in and stuff like that. Pictures of my kids. All kinds of cool stuff. It never lasts more than 2 days before my desktop looks too chaotic and I default back to this. This is just the ultimate wallpaper.
All
I
right.
like that wallpaper.
Well, all right, guys. This is my wallpaper that I use that I actually have on this particular computer that I'm actually streaming from right now. That's my two dogs. They're both miniature. Well, one's a miniature schnauzer. The brown one's a miniature schnauzer. The black and gray one is a toy schnauzer. Although they're almost the same size, but you know they're brothers, sisters, so they like hanging out with each other.
Now, where they can post, and we have the images enabled is weekly show, so they can post theirs in the weekly show topic
Okay.
on Discord.
Yeah, I just keep it basic. I usually just have like Jay, like the aqua blue, or like anything blue. Like there's a different one with like water on what OS am I running here? On Yosemite right here. So that's what I'm sorry, El Capitan or whatever the heck this is. That's what I use. But I mean, sometimes I'll put up photos. Like I have one on my work laptop. I have photos, but I mean, just at home, it's usually just blue.
So speaking of water, Mavericks had a pretty that wave that went from green to blue.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
Wallpaper. I had that one for a little while, but that only lasted about a month. And then I went back to Tiger.
Well, you know it's funny because on my MacBook Pro, I actually have the Mojave wallpaper, the default one on that. I haven't changed that at all.
Although I think I haven't seen it yet. I keep forgetting, but the Catalina wallpaper looks pretty sick.
I like
yeah,
that.
that's pretty nice.
Now.
I like that. The island of Catalina, yeah.
I don't think I've even seen that.
Oh, Corvette! Shocker.
What I usually do is I try to color coordinate the Corvette to the color of the actual Mac, aka there's a lot of silver Corvettes.
I was going to say there had to be a lot of silver, right?
Yeah, but like for my blueberry clamshell, I use a what is it? Nassau blue Corvette C5 on it. You know, I try to color coordinate everything.
Nicholas Levan, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. He says my wallpaper is currently Ken's Layer's wallpaper.
Ah, yes, that's a cool one.
We got Fairy Ball posted in on Discord the wallpaper of his phone. It's I think Sonic.
Speaking of which, yeah,
Nice.
if you're gonna do
Like a
phones,
Sonic or something.
what wallpapers do you use on your phone?
Dude,
Just
I would have to check. I don't even remember.
Well, actually,
Once again, anime.
it's actually pictures of my dog again. Well,
I'll show you what mine is.
There.
I got a picture
Well,
of
I'd show you
clouds.
mine, but I'm filming on it.
Same
Oh
here.
wait, I can stream my phone.
This is mine. Just the standard rainbow one that comes there. I like it.
Matches your watch band, right?
Yes, it does. And the damn Apple logo.
Yeah, on my phone, I usually have like either a picture of my girlfriend or my dogs.
Yeah, I just got clouds on the phone. Blue, mostly blue, a few white clouds. That's it. Nothing too distracting.
Nah. Let's
But
see.
I don't know if I've ever covered this, but my desktop, I have 2 displays, standard. Sometimes when I'm really busy, I hook up a third. It's edge-to-edge icons. There's not a single available space anymore on my desktop.
Let me guess.
They
You
are-
don't use stacks, do you?
Screw stacks, man. Nobody does.
I don't even know how it works.
It works great. Trust me. I use it all the time.
It works well until it crashes. So what happened the other day is I unplugged an external display for my machine at work, which has stacks on it, and I tapped the screenshot stack, and there were like a billion images on my desktop, and I unplugged the display, and it got stuck. So those stacks were just like exposed. I had to reboot the damn thing.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
We got a wallpaper from Dan. It's pretty cool.
Mhm.
Well, Dana goes, my wallpaper's either DeLoreans or Iron Man. Someone likes Avengers.
Speaking of DeLoreans, Dana, are you on the DeLoreans fanatics DeLorean fanatics group on Facebook? Because if you aren't, you should join. I know the creator of the page very well, so go check that out.
What are we looking at there, Jay?
Is this coming through?
What are we looking at? Is
Yeah.
that your G4?
Oh, that one's cool. I like
love
that.
Yeah, I like that one.
This is the wall. This is the wallpaper that Dan posted on Discord.
Ah, that is cool. I might have to steal that, Dan.
I'll
Yeah,
have
it's
to.
pretty slick.
I want to create some of those that I'm owing people. I have a cool one. I'm just not doing it yet.
Well, you guys remember the day back in the day when iPhone first came out where you couldn't put wallpapers on it unless you jailbroke it?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Huh?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Up to the
right. You could do the
iPhone,
lock screen, but not the
up
background.
to the iPhone
Yep,
3GS, the 3G and the original iPhone, you could not put backgrounds on.
I forgot about that. Jeez.
Dude, I honestly don't remember. Before I had the iPhone, I had the iPod Touch. You have no app store. You couldn't install anything. What did I do with those devices? I honestly don't remember because they're
Hey,
useless.
even my N gauge had the had backgrounds on it. So
Well, I think Apple's
can't
thing at the time
have
was that the
engage.
processor couldn't handle it, but yet if you jailbroke it, it could handle it just fine.
it's really just not smooth enough to their likings.
No.
Well, this remember Steve Jobs was still alive back then, so
There's a power button on this damn thing.
There we go. That one has the original. That's
there you
the lock screen.
Little
Whoops,
flower.
there it went.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then one of them was the fish.
And actually, it does have backgrounds. In a later version of macOS, they added backgrounds for it.
iPhone.
Yeah, I
That
have
was
it
a support.
4.
Yeah. This is the 3. Well, 3G, I think. And
Yeah,
then
it's
this
the
one,
3GS, it looks like.
this one should be the 3GS, I think. One of them's the GS, one of them's the G.
If it could do video recording without a hack, then it's a
yes,
3GS.
because
The 3G
There's the picture on this
have
one.
wallpaper by default, but you could.
That one
actually-
does not. So this is the older one. This
Yeah.
is the.
That's
yeah,
the
the 3G and the original
Mm-hmm.
iPhone were the only two phones that could not do wallpaper unless you jailbroke them. The 3GS is when they came
Yep.
out with background.
Which would be this one.
Yeah.
Because one of them's a 3GS.
This is Brock's wallpaper.
Hey,
Two-
that's a
what is
cool
that,
looking
Tomb
one. I
Raider?
like that one.
Give me the
Classic.
PlayStation 1 Tomb Raider any day of the week.
I don't entirely agree with this rendering either, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't pick it up
No.
on the desktop.
Yeah, I think
On,
for a
sorry, go ahead.
while. No, I'm just reading the comments here. You had to pay $5 to update the iPod Touch to allow apps. For a while, it was like a $20 upgrade, and then they like got rid of
Yeah.
it. But they got a lot of flack for that. Sorry, Rocky.
Oh, no.
Please continue.
No, you're fine. Actually, that's not bad. But while we're on this kind of topic, I warned the guys I was going to interject at some point. As I took a lot of flack from the people in the Discord for adding everyone, it had a purpose. I did a flash raid basically to find out, okay, at that very moment, what is everybody using in MacYak in our MacYak community to access Discord at that time. So, fun fact, what do you guys think was the most used OS
Probably,
and device
I'm
type?
guessing iOS.
Try again.
I'm going to say High Sierra.
I'd say High
Try
Sierra.
again.
I'm gonna say Linux.
El Capitan.
Nope.
If you say Windows, then I'm closing the channel down.
Try Android.
What? Oh,
cell
no.
phone.
Okay, anybody using Android,
7
you're gone.
people.
Sorry.
What is that, Greg? Don't you have an Android device? So what are you shouting at us
I don't
for?
have an Android device. Well, I do have a watch. Okay.
Exactly.
watch.
Lying to the nice people of MacYak.
But it
So
connects to
7
my
people that
iPhone.
responded. So believe it or not, 7 people that responded to the flash were on Android phones. We had 1 on Windows 10, which was myself. We had 2 on Linux. We had 2 on Mac OS and 3 on iOS. And 2 of the 3 were iPhones, and 1 was an
Well,
iPad.
see, I
Another vote on
access
Mac.
Discord from both my phone and Mac OS and Windows. So I had all 3 actually.
Purple thread.
Yeah.
So for a Mac community, Mac and iOS was the least used device in that moment.
Every one of you should be ashamed of
To be
yourselves.
fair, to be fair, the Discord app for iOS sucks. I can't even add a GIF
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
or a GIF. I don't know. We're going with GIF or
It's
GIF.
GIF.
Back there.
That's a
Yeah.
whole other topic.
Jeff.
Yeah.
We already had this discussion last week.
But it's not settled.
It's
Yes, it
right.
is settled. I said GIF. End of discussion.
I said GIF.
All right, guys. So I think we kind of beat this one in, right?
Well,
Yeah.
before we move on, we had a comment from Christopher. He said, "I missed the last show and had a Catalina question. The Mac Pro 7,1 base model, 7,1?
That's the new one.
Okay.
That's the.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know if that's going to be called a 7,1.
Yeah, has a base model. The 7,1 base model has a version of the RX 580 GPU. Would a 5,1 Mac Pro with the RX 580 perhaps be flashed, in a sense, to 7,1? Or is that a pipe dream? I have no idea.
It might
I wonder
be.
if you're even going to need to flash it,
Well,
though.
I think
The
he's
one
talking
it
about.
comes with is the Pro version, though, which is for more prosumers. So it probably won't flash over.
No, I think he's talking about flashing a 5,1 Mac Pro.
No, he's talking about flashing the GPU, the 580, over to be a Mac card.
Why couldn't he? I mean, he should be able to either way.
Well, Mac vid cards does it now.
Well, I don't feel like sending my stuff out to somebody to flash. I wish that
Yeah.
somebody would put that stuff out and I would flash it myself. My video card I'm running on this particular computer, I flashed myself and it worked fine.
I would say, from everything I hear about Mac vid cards, he does good work.
But it's slow.
But customer service wise, he is worse than Comcast. So, I don't know.
I've got 2 brick
That says a lot.
cards thanks to a custom flash.
Yep. Well, that's you
So
because
we gotta be
you probably
careful.
bled on it or something to make it a brick.
Yeah.
The anger of the gods.
And there's something else I want to mention that has to be done. I'm sorry, but last week a challenge was issued. A duel was proposed.
Oh.
A
Man,
debate
poke
was
fun
to
on
be
you.
settled in Unreal Tournament. And some people showed up,
Damn right.
Damn right I did.
but not the guy that the challenge was issued to.
Hey,
Lucky
you were the
Bill.
one that issued the challenge to me. I never said I had to show up. I was busy.
Oh.
Oh.
Yep. So,
Yeah.
Rocky got called out.
For shame.
We had
for the
we
next
had
topic.
Dan, we had Dana, we had me, Steve, and
Me.
Greg Thompson were there. No Rocky to be found anywhere.
And no Groody either.
So.
Hmm.
Nope.
Well, I still have messed up
Ah.
internet. If you look on the
Yeah,
thing
come
right
on.
now,
Enough
I'm
with that.
frozen.
Oh, wait. He's everybody on here. Can you guys see how clear his video is and how smooth it is? And he says he.
Yeah, but you notice it keeps freezing.
No, it isn't.
Not on our end.
It was frozen.
It's not frozen. You're moving.
It's frozen again.
You're moving perfectly
Yeah,
fine.
the stream.
I'm watching it freeze.
Yeah, the stream
On the
has us
stream.
freezing at random times, but right here on Skype, you have to drop the frame.
You're kidding me.
But that's Greg's computer. But it's not his
No.
fault. It's Twitch or YouTube or the stars are aligned in a different way or something is always going on. It's not Greg.
I've had zero
Well, I'm
drop
still
frames
only
tonight,
getting-
so hey.
I'm literally only getting roughly 1/100th of the speed I'm actually paying for.
And that turns out to be enough.
It's more than I've got.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's more than Rocky's got. All right, guys. So we're gonna go to our next topic here. Is coolest third-party Mac add-ons. What's the coolest third-party add-on you have for an Apple system? In other words, something that's non-Apple. Okay, that's an add-on for an Apple product. That's what we're looking for. So,
Hardware.
yeah, hardware-wise, not software, hardware. So, Jay, we're going to start off with you first since you got pictures.
All right. Let me know when the picture is up and which one it is.
All right, hold on. All right, I got the first one up, Skate. It's the one on your desktop.
Oh, yes. This is a product that I never even knew existed. And then, where did I get the first one? I think it was at my current employer before I even worked there. Someone put it up on the Mac Pro upgrade group. Said, hey, we found this. Is anyone interested? And I'm like, dude, what is it? So they told me what it is. I went to the Wayback Machine, looked it up, and it is as it seems. It's a roller skate for your G5 or Mac Pro, and it's very, very convenient. I now have two of them, and I hope to get my hands on
Okay,
more,
I got you.
'cause it's
Next
really,
picture's up.
really
now.
awesome. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier to clean, to redo your cables, all that stuff. It's really awesome. So if you ever find the G5 skates, it's officially called the G5 roller skate. If you ever find one, let me know. Don't buy it. Let me know. I want more.
He will test it for you.
Yes, I thought that was a pretty cool add-on.
That's really cool.
Okay,
I wonder if I could build one.
and I got your next item up here, Jay.
I forgot what my next
Sonnet
item was.
MDD1.
Oh yes, when I was building up my mirror drive door, the fastest processor I could put in there was a dual 1.8 gigahertz Sonnet, and I'm like checking eBay, and the thing goes for like $400 or $500, ridiculous prices. You know, the eBay effect. I'm like, I'll find one day between now and retirement. Maybe I'll find one, and I think within a week one popped up, and I got it for, if I recall, I got it for $100. It was the Sonnet card plus a bunch of other stuff, hard drive,
wow.
graphics cards, the whole 9 yards. So that was my my second coolest add-on that I never thought I would ever own until I won the lottery or something. It has since been overclocked to a dual 2.0 gigahertz, and then it died for a while, but I fixed it up again, so it's back in action.
Cool.
And
You got
it
it working
runs
again?
hot. Yeah, it did. I had to
What
put
was
new,
wrong with it, Jay?
The socket was crushed. I had to put a new socket on.
Ooh, how'd that happen?
You know, me being me.
He was testing different heat sinks, and the last one screwed it up.
Yeah,
Ah,
pretty much.
human error.
Yep. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I was so pissed at myself. I think a few things took
I was
flight
even
in my
pissed
office.
at you.
And the last one is, I don't have a picture of it, but it's actually the same as Thompson over there. It's
Well, if you want, I'll go through it then.
oh yeah, go
All
ahead.
right. So mine and Jay has the same thing for his. I guess your wife's got one on her computer. Okay.
Yeah.
But I have it on my iMac 2017. This is made for basically the newer iMacs. It won't work on the older iMacs, the thicker ones. What this is, and I got it up on screen now, is a USB adapter. So it basically routes the USB ports from the back of the iMac to the front. And,
Oh, that's
and it
cool.
makes one port into 4. So it's USB 3.0. And it clips on. It's not screwed on or anything. It clips on underneath the little vents on the bottom, and allows you to have front-facing ports for the USB. And as in the pictures, if you look there, you can see it how it connects in the back and puts it underneath right there. It's really neat.
Yeah, I do have a slightly different model though. Mine only has 3 USB ports and 2 card readers, SD card and micro SD card.
Okay, but that's on
that's
my
cool.
machine right there. That's how I have it hooked up to my machine, and that is probably one of the best inventions they ever came out with for the iMac, because reaching around
absolutely.
to the back of a computer to plug in USBs is a pain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Big pain.
You know, so who is next?
Well, I already have everything in my lap.
Okay, go ahead, Greg.
Wait. Did you actually prepare something?
Well, this is the stuff I already have in this room, so yeah.
Okay, we're going to be here for 2 hours,
You
all
just
right?
turned around and grabbed it.
I'm gonna take a break.
No, we're just going to talk about 2 things. And I've actually talked about them on my channel before, but I found out about these in the last year or so, and they're really cool. For instance, the first one I've got here is a bookend stock, and this is actually one made by Newer Tech, aka OWC. They started them. They started doing them, and then killed them off after the Wall Street came out. This is the Wall Street. This was the last stock, as far as I know, that Newer Tech made. Then some company picked up the trademark to it to make bookends docks. And what it does is it clips in somehow. Come on.
Fail on live.
It clips into, for instance, a Wall Street or any other notebook, and it adds extra ports or expands the ports. This one's weird. It's got actual wires hanging out of
Little
it
dongles.
because they wouldn't all fit on the back of it. But this would convert it to full-size SCSI and all that stuff. Really neat. And for the later models, like on MacBooks and stuff with the side ports, it would redirect all the ports to the side, to the back, and so you have all the wires sticking out the back. And the
That's
other
cool.
thing, and I just ordered another one of these. This is the new one I'm putting in my digital audio. Let's see here. It's a G3 Sweet Multi-Port.
Oh, I forgot about the multi-port.
So what?
I forgot about the multi-port.
Yeah, the Sweet Multi-Port. I've done a video on installing this into my MDD, and I also have a video of the one that's in one of my Quicksilvers. But what it does is it takes some ports and stuff. You had cards and stuff. It would take the ports from the back of the Power Mac and turn them into ports for the front. And this particular one came with 2 FireWires for the front, a USB for the front, a compact flash, and an SD card reader. Really neat. And if you had a USB 2 card installed into it, this actually worked as a USB 2 hub.
That's
so you
pretty
can
cool.
have USB 2 in the front. I've got a lot of videos on it. Really neat stuff. And the neat thing was they were really cheap when they were new. Now there's only one place that sells them, and they go for $40 a pop. It's kind of steep. But back then, when they were new, like 10, 15 years ago, they were going for about $30 a pop in that time period's money. So that's what, like $20 a pop now. So they were actually pretty cheap, and they were pretty high quality, except for the fact that they didn't just plug in with the cards in the back. You actually had to run wires from each card through the back of it.
So
which is a little strange.
That's like a faceplate, or is there like electronics that go in there?
Electronics.
Okay.
I don't know where it is in here. I haven't unwrapped this one yet.
Oh, that's all right. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Because I have one of those on my PC years ago.
Yeah, like I said, I've got a video on it if you want to check it out. In fact,
yeah,
I might
sure.
be doing a video on this one too. So.
Cool.
All right.
All right. How about you there, Steve?
All right. So I have a CalDigit Thunderbolt dock, and it's not the only one you could get. There's plenty of them. I use my 2011 iMac, and what I really wanted was USB 3 functionality on my iMac. Nice. And the USB port on the iMac 2011 is only a 2.0, which is kind of ridiculous. But you use a Thunderbolt cable here, and you get 3 USB ports. So there's one on the front here, and 2 on the back in the USB 3.0. And I've had pretty good luck with this thing. It's basically plugged in and turned on, has a little power brick, and it's been plugged in and turned on since 2012, 2013, and it still works. So that says something about it. Some minor compatibility issues I've had over the years, like plugging in a USB 3 hard drive that will not mount, but if I plug it into a USB 2 port, it's fine. And if I plug it into someone else's USB 3 Mac, it works fine. So I think the USB chipset in this might be a little older, but thankfully that was rare, and most of the non-cheapo USB devices I plug into this work fine. But yeah, up until I've replaced or am replacing my iMac, this thing was on 24/7. So it works pretty well. And you also have some other ports here. There's HDMI port. You have audio jacks in the front, so headphone and audio in. And there's a second Thunderbolt jack too. So what's nice is you could plug another display in there or daisy chain it if you had to, and then Ethernet as well. So if you had a MacBook that, let's say, only had Thunderbolt, I mean, it's a little bulky, obviously, and the USB 3 stuff or / Thunderbolt 3, whatever, USB-C rather, is much like smaller and compact, but we didn't have that back then, and I was just happy to get some extra functionality out of my iMac, which I wasn't going to buy a new one anytime soon just for USB 3.0. So
I need to get me one of those.
Yeah, unfortunately, because Thunderbolt and Thunderbolt 2 are sort of, I guess, legacy now, these could go for quite a bit. These are about like $200 when they came out, and they're still about that price.
Yeah, but you could probably find a 3-bolt dock and just convert it to 2, right?
I've heard issues with that. Now, however, this is Thunderbolt 1, but a Thunderbolt 2 dock is fully backwards compatible with 1. I've heard some issues with the 3 dock to 1 because of the power requirements, because this has its own power port, and USB-C is supposed to deliver power, so you'd have to like deliver power and Thunderbolt and yeah. So if you have a Thunderbolt 2 port, I would use a 2 dock, a 1 port, a 1 dock, or 2 dock. You're not going to get the speed increase, but yeah, I like it. It's pretty neat, and it's I've heard bad things about like the OWC and the Belkin ones, but this CalDigit one seems to be pretty good. So this is a model CTS-60. Nice. It also has boot camp drivers apparently, so that's pretty good. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's me.
Rocky, how about you?
Mine are pretty uneventful, but I think a lot of people could agree that at least 2 out of the 3 are very, very useful aftermarket mods. Fight me. Aftermarket SATA SSDs for older Macs or Mac Pros.
Nice.
So that's definitely got to be the top of my list, followed very closely by PC NVIDIA GPUs for my Mac Pro.
Yeah, but I wouldn't really consider that as a for Mac thing.
It's
If it plugs in, it's for the Mac.
Yeah, exactly. And I made my third one for Mac, so you can call it a custom mod, but absolutely love my 4200 Ti that I have in my G4. And I actually made that. It's been flashed to Mac. It was a PC card. They a lot of people don't know, but the 4200 is actually the same thing as the 44 and the 46. The only difference is some cards had slower RAM memory speed on them, and the clock speed was the only difference between the 42, the 44, and the 4600. So mine actually is one of the later 4200s that were last released, and it actually runs at almost a 4600 speed, and the memory's clocked actually the same or higher.
Oh,
so
wow.
it performs.
Cool.
Funny thing you mentioned that. I've got Colin Mister working on flashing a Quadro 4
Nice.
into a 4600. I don't know if that's going to work. I've heard that some people have done it, and I hope he can do it too, because that would be cool to have another 4600.
Heck yeah. Those are supposed to be the same card. It's just, different setup, basically.
And Mike, what do you got? That's
Not a thing.
not a thing. Everything's Apple.
Yeah. Apple mouse, Apple keyboard. I mean, I have a gateway monitor, but that doesn't really count. Apple computer. Yeah, I pretty much don't have anything on my Mac that's not an Apple product. Oh, wait, my webcam's a Logitech. Does
Well,
that
there you
count?
go.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
I have a Logitech.
Not really anything.
Oh,
Not
wait,
really
what
anything
about
I'm proud of.
What about your, like on the old SEs and stuff? Weren't there some aftermarket cards that were in those? The radius display
Yeah.
or something like that?
Oh, yeah, there's tons of aftermarket stuff made for them.
There you go.
I don't have any.
Oh.
All right. Yeah, that was pretty much what we had. So, I haven't seen too many in the chat talk about what they had. So if you guys,
Dana said he has it's mostly PCI cards, eSATA card in his 1,1,
Nubus Power
Nubus
PC.
Power PC upgrade cards.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
That's all I see in the chat.
Yeah, I don't see much in as far as everybody else.
If
But
anybody has any Numus Power PC cards they just don't want anymore, they're welcome to donate them to
Well,
my
Dana
channel.
can even
Dana
donate
doesn't
them to
intend on
me.
using them, but he likes to get this stuff off the market, like so that he can hoard it and be
You're talking about me?
the only owner. No.
yeah.
Well, I actually, you know what? I just thought about it. I don't have a picture of it, and I don't have it here, obviously, but I actually do have something. I do have. That's not even a third party card though. I have an Apple PC card for
Oh, there you go.
PCI Power Mac.
Cool.
Is that the 166 model?
It was when it was new. It's the 233 now.
All right, you got to
Upgrade.
talk to me about that. I got to do that to mine.
Yep.
I did that probably 10 years ago. Thing's got
man.
like 64 megs of RAM on it, and had a 233 megahertz. I think it's an AMD.
Steve is drooling.
K5.
Steve's like, now I got to make a visit over to your place.
Now, is that
Did you
is that
see his
the
hands?
is that the orange micro one, or is that the Apple one?
No, it's the Apple one.
Yeah, that's the 12-inch one. I think that's the same one I have.
Yeah, that's a monster.
Yeah. You can't apparently put it in the blue and white G3s because the power requirement is too high for it.
No, I
Really?
think the Power Mac 9600 was the last machine you could use it with.
Well, no, the
Rely
G3
upgrade.
Mini Tower I have it in, and it works
Oh,
okay.
really?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's just
we're
for
trying it
whatever
out.
reason, I think the PCI slots on the blue and white are a bit different.
That's possible.
Well, hey, we had one in chat. Brock goes, he has a PCIe 3.1 USB card to Mac Pro 2010. I actually have one of those in mine too, as a matter of fact. So
I do too.
So
I just ordered the same one you had, Greg.
Yep. So it's the same one I have too. So yeah.
Yes, it is.
I don't have.
I'm
any
sorry,
PC,
Greg's.
3.1.
Greg's. There you go.
Oh yeah, mine says a 3.0. It's not a 3.1. I have no
same.
need for a 3.1.
Yeah.
I don't either.
But I actually have that hooked up to a little USB hub here, so I could reach it instead of going down behind the Mac. So I have a USB 3.0 hub connected to it, so I can actually have physical access to it where I don't have to reach around back behind the Mac. So I have like 4 USB 3.0, plugs right there.
So Fairy Ball is saying, what about the floppy disks that plug into a USB port, like this one? So there you go.
I actually have one
Mine's
on
an
my
official Apple, though, I think.
Yeah, I have one on my iMac
There you go.
G4. It's
This one's cool. You could
I
change
got
the
one
color.
in the drawer somewhere. But
Yeah, mine's
this is
just
definitely
a
on my
regular
list as
PC
well.
one.
Yeah, here's
Oh, that's great.
Self-powered 7-port USB 3.0 hub
yeah, that's what mine
Self-out.
looks like.
Oh, I see.
Yeesh.
and a hard drive dock is something I use a lot as well.
See, I have one of those. Mine's the
I'd love to get
2-port
one. I've been wanting to get one of
thermal
those.
take.
But that thing comes in handy being right there because I plug in like thumb drives and stuff like that. So
Oh, definitely.
I have it taped to the desk right there. Now this USB hub can actually be externally powered too, so I can actually put a 5-volt power to it and charge stuff off of it and everything. But I don't really need that on there, so I don't have it plugged in. It's just more cable mess I got to deal with.
Yeah, no, I keep mine plugged in. I'm running a fan, 2 hard drives, 1 hard drive dock. I charge my phone with it. I charge my iPad with it, and I got a maybe one of these for the old ATA drives and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Those are very handy. You never know when you need to extract something from an old
Oh,
disk.
yeah. That's why I keep it on my desk permanently, because every time I clean it up, 2 days later, it's like, I need it. So, now it's just permanent.
Well, another thing too is those little external SATA drive that you can actually put little 2.5-inch SATA drives in. You could either put SSDs in it or anything. Those are nice to have too, because I have a bunch of those that are USB 3.1s.
Oh, you mean the little 3 1/4, like the notebook hard drive size ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one around here somewhere.
Don't have one handy, so.
I don't have one handy.
It's like almost the size of an iPhone. It's a little smaller, a little thicker.
Here, I've got one right here.
Everybody scrambles to find it.
So this is what I
bunch.
have, and it's a Sabrent, and it's got USB 3.0 connectors on it. But you put in any hard drive you want in there, and it's a little compact thing. And I have about 3 or 4. I have 4 of them right now, and if you notice, I have that one labeled, but I label all of them to what's on it. So it's pretty fast because it goes over to 3.0. And then if you want to talk about other things, I mean, hell, I have for my MacBook Pro, and I've showed this before. This is a Thunderbolt, or actually a USB-C to adapter that actually puts out all the ports and everything. So
So it's a baby version of this big thing.
and it also goes to HMDI or HMDI.
Yeah. I like that. HMDI.
HDMI. All right.
It's got the Google on it.
Yeah. So anyways, that's just some of the things I have. I mean, but that I like.
Well, that's the thing with, a lot of stuff most people don't need, but it certainly makes a lot of stuff very, very easy to accomplish. It's kind of the same as setting up a new Mac. The base install, it does its thing. You can do your email, your web browsing and all that, but it's all the add-ons that make a system really great. You install your password manager, your fan control, all that stuff we talked about a few shows ago.
Yep.
And that makes your Mac really great. And I think it's the same with the hardware. I mean, I love this Mac Pro, but I need my USB 3, I need my hub, I need my dock, I need this and that. So I think there's a lot of useful stuff out there.
Oh yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of aftermarket stuff that you can get that's really good for it. And it's
Here's the best mod you could do to any Mac: aftermarket thermal paste.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I totally agree.
oh, let's see.
Kind of segues into one of our topics in the future there, Rocky.
Oh, maybe, yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and talk to our next topic here, unless we're done. Anything else?
No, I think
Unless we're
good.
done.
All right. All
I
right.
quit. Later.
So,
Bye.
our next topic is how do we support our family? So, we all have family members that are computer illiterate. Okay, all of us have those, and so how do the question is how do we support the family? You know, as our tech support skills and stuff. How do we help them fix problems and stuff like that? Do you like? I think Jay was alluding to. Do you go in there full out and do everything for them, or do you show them how to do it while they're doing it? You know, stuff like that.
Well, if you want me to elaborate, I'll go first.
Yeah, go for it. That's why I was kind of looking at you.
I can't see you. I got 4 people on my screen, and you're nowhere to be seen. I basically handle everything Mac related for my family. I have remote desktop access to each and every computer, whether they're here or in Europe or in Africa. I can get in there. So if someone texts me like, this thing isn't working, I'm not even going to ask which thing they're talking about, ask for screenshots, ask for details. I just sit down, click, and I'm in. And unless the computer is broken, you know, that I can't get remote access, I'm like, okay, just sit back, stop touching stuff, and I'll figure it out. But there's also, you know, there's varying degrees, of course. Like, my wife knows her way around the Mac. So I only help out when she asks me. My dad and my mom, and I don't even talk about my brother. They kind of adopted the standard operating procedure of don't touch it. If you don't need it, if you don't know what it is, if it asks you for something that you don't know what it is, don't touch it. And that seems to be working really well. Sometimes my dad tends to get adventurous and install something that, you know, messes stuff up, but that's easily fixed. My mom doesn't do anything with her computer, really, just types up Word documents and stuff. So I do software updates and check her backups once in a while. So yeah, some people need really hands-on, and I say, you know, leave your computer on tonight when you go to bed, because I'm going to go in there and do maintenance and work a whole bunch of stuff out. And some people I don't talk to for months, and suddenly they call me with an issue that I go in really quick and fix. So it varies on the person, but I tend to treat it like I did with my job. Like, if you want me to be your IT support, you're going to surrender all control and let me do my job. So that works pretty well. But like I said, it varies. If my brother calls me for an issue, I just say good luck and you'll figure it out. It's an endless pit of issues. But yeah, that's me.
Well, as far as me, my wife uses everything Apple in this house. We have pretty much everything's Apple. Okay. When I first met her, she had a Windows laptop, and I was into Apple already. And she saw
still
that.
Dated her?
Well, she had an iPhone. Okay, she had an iPhone.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, so she saw how good Mac OS worked, and so she ended up buying one after. Uh-oh.
Flood!
All
No, it's an Amber Alert,
Oh,
It's flooding near me. So
and I can't figure out how to shut it off.
just
There we
throw it
go.
across the room.
Yeah, there you go. anyways,
I'm not gonna throw $1,000 phone across the room. Sorry.
anyways, so she bought an iMac after she saw mine, and so she liked it so much and everything. So now she's basically now she has a MacBook Pro that she uses with a monitor, keyboard, all that stuff. So it's like a desktop laptop. But like Jay, she's not very computer literate when it comes to actual things that happen with the computer. So setting up stuff on there, I have to actually go in and physically do it for her. Now, sometimes I sit there and help her, show her what she needs to do. So she'll sit there and do it as I'm telling her, okay, go click on this, click on that, click on this. But a lot of the times I'm doing it for her.
You're like the man's
Yeah, a lot of the times I'm doing it for her because even if I explain it to her, it'll come up about 2 weeks later. I have to redo it again because she didn't listen the first time. So that's my extent. Now, the rest of my family, my daughters and everything else, they use Windows. So they come to me most of the time. And I'm starting to learn a little bit more about Windows problems and stuff. But when it comes to serious problems with Windows, I'm really not sure about it. So I don't really mess with it too much because ever since Windows 10 came out, I don't like touching it because Windows 7 was the last one I could actually work on because everything was in one spot. Now they put stuff all over the place and
it's ridiculous.
It's just crazy.
It's gotten worse. I mean, 8 was fragmented. It's gotten worse with 10. The most hilarious thing from a user experience perspective is you go to the start menu and you type in a setting for like wallpaper or something. You get the Metro like thing and then the old one. It's like, well, how am I supposed to know which one to click on? And half the time, some settings are in one and not the other. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
Whereas if on a Mac, you go to the little, gear, everything is right there. It's like, you want to set up everything, it's all right there.
Yeah.
And it's been that way since 2001.
Yeah, I mean, if they just combined everything into one spot, that would like just make sense. But they're not going to do that, so whatever. Anyway.
Actually, truthfully, our computers really haven't changed much since 1984. It just looks a lot different.
True. Yeah, you got that right.
Really
Pretty
think about it. They actually work the same.
Next came along and fixed some things, and we've been on that since.
Yep. How about you, Rocky? What do you? Because I know you got a lot of problems with family members and tech support, right?
Well, actually, I mean, I've done a lot to coach them. It's taken quite a few years. The majority of my family is still on Windows. I did, well, what can you do? That's what they bought. So I'm like, well, all right. But
you're on your own.
pretty much. No. I do maintain it. About once a year, I have to clean them up. My mom and stuff, they're pretty, my daughter, I've trained her. So they tend to keep their machines pretty clean. I only have to really mess with them about once a year. That only took me, 5 to 10 years to get them to figure out. But my grandma, on the other hand, love her dearly. I switched her over to Mac forcefully. So
grandmas always get a free pass.
Yeah. I swapped computers, and quite honestly, she's been extremely happy with it. And I don't really have to do hardly anything to it. I rarely have to even mess with it. It's because it does what she wants, does what she needs, and
excellent. Yeah. That's the best type of support.
Well, that's the thing I like about Macs versus Windows too, is that Windows forces you updates now. Macs don't. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you want to update, you could update. If you don't want to update, it's not going to sit there and
for now.
It's not going to sit there and force you to update.
For now, yeah.
Well, yeah, right now it's not, but it'll nag you sometimes. Hey, there's an update available, blah blah blah. But it's not like Windows does that in the background, and then all of a sudden when you go to shut your computer down or you're doing something online, and all of a sudden everything's slowed down so much because it's installing an update and using all your CPU processes, you're like, yeah, I've had that happen to me so many times. It's frustrating when I'm playing iRacing.
Now, I do want to make mention, but And I noticed a lot of people are starting to talk about iPhones, and I space this out because part of the reason that the tech support's a lot easier now is, like, my parents and even my grandma, their primary device that they do a lot of what they do on is actually their iPhone. So, the computer's just kind of a secondary buffer for them. My grandma uses her computer more than my parents do.
What's funny is my wife knows
also-
more about
by
her
the way,
iPhone than I do.
that's the only thing that I can appreciate about Linux, at least from what I've heard. I have no experience with it. That very rarely do you need to restart your computer for an update. I wish Mac OS did that.
Well, here's the thing, though, is Mac OS only does that when you're getting major updates, okay? Whereas Windows, every little update involves 3 reboots. Or more, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could install an update, and then it says, okay, we got a reboot, and then it continues installing after the reboot. After it's installed, then it comes back and says, oh, we got to reboot again. You're like, didn't you just reboot? Whereas with the Mac, you reboot once and you're done.
Yeah. At least since, like, I'd say Leopard or Snow Leopard, because
that was Leopard.
in Tiger
there
were a few updates where it was like, oh, you're rebooting twice.
Yeah, and what about the good old optimizing your system? Okay,
Oh,
I'll be back in
God.
5 hours.
my to segue into me,
Yeah, go
if
for
everyone
it.
else is done. So my aunt she had a Performa, then she had an iMac DV, and now she has then she had an iMac 2006. Now she has an iMac 2011, and the iMac DV model, whenever it was running Tiger and it was like optimizing updates, you knew, like Jay said, you just go back, do something else for a few hours because it's just gonna sit there, and she would hate it. She would see, she would not do updates because she knew she couldn't use the computer after that. She'd like do it at the end of the night and just like leave it alone. But I mean, I have a pretty big family, so I support most of them. So most of them, thankfully, are on a Mac. And those who weren't on a Mac transitioned to Macs, and some of them unfortunately switched away from the Mac. So it's like I don't support them anymore. I'm basically like, hey, you're on your own.
Yep.
So I can't help you with that.
Yeah, right.
Now two of my relatives are on PCs, but I think we sort of discussed this a few podcasts ago. I set them up with standard user accounts, not admin user accounts. So they can't install apps, they can't do this, they can't do that. They need an admin password for anything, which isn't a bad way to set up a Mac either, but Windows, it's even more important. And so, like, if they are clicking on a website or they type in something wrong and it leads them to a shady website and it tries to install something, you can't do it because you need the password to do it, and I don't tell them the password. So, that's just one way of keeping them safe. I use TeamViewer. I used to use Microsoft Remote Desktop, but it's, kind of a hassle on some of the new Windows systems, especially with you have to do not necessarily on the Windows system, but on like a network. So you have to set up like a static IP, or you have to make sure the DHCP address is like always there. You have to make sure the port's always forwarded. They had my relatives had a router that was not theirs. It was managed by the cable company. I couldn't, forward the ports or whatever. That's when I discovered TeamViewer. And yes, there are a lot of like scams out there, people trying to scam you using TeamViewer. But if you set it up securely, and you know what you're doing, and you teach people,
I was just saying that the scammers that I watch in the videos use that because they prey on people that don't know what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing is education, whether it's a Mac, a PC, a Linux machine, or an iOS device. If you're troubleshooting something with someone, you got to educate them. If you just do it for them all the time without saying anything, that's not going to help them. And I've actually been in situations where like, oh, just do it for me. I said, I'm not doing it because then you're going to call me every time. You're going to sit here and listen, or I'm not doing anything at all. So TeamViewer works pretty well. The only
Steve is rough, man.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of people to support. It rags on you. But the problem with TeamViewer on some older things, like my dad's old iMac, I had to like download an old TeamViewer client to connect to his, and it was kind of weird. Like it didn't like to support the latest, but he's on an older version of Mac OS, so maybe that was the issue. But But I used to use messages a lot. That used to have a built-in screen sharing option, which was handy because my relatives or whatever, I communicate via messages. And so I tap on that and tap on the screen share. Then that just stopped working. So I can't use that anymore, which is a bit of a pain. But I mean, I have a lot of different OSs to support. Thankfully, most of them are Macs these days. And the best thing you can do is just jump into it, remote into it. I've had to do some over FaceTime where it's like, hold the camera up to the screen, but you're never going to get like the focus right, or you have somebody hold the camera with one hand to typing with the other. And
well, believe it or not,
that just so they could set up TeamViewer, and then I'm good.
In Catalina, they're coming out with where they could connect to the desktop through FaceTime.
That would be nice. Now,
yeah, I think it's in Catalina. If I remember looking at some of that stuff, I think that's coming out.
Now, the one of the most recent challenging calls I ever had was with someone who just, they're not very tech savvy, and they're a sort of a distant relative of mine. And they had a machine. It's like a 2006 MacBook Pro. It's still on, Leopard. They just use it for web browsing and email. I've tried to have them upgrade, but they're not too tech savvy enough to do it. One of these days, I'll just go over and update it. Problem was they couldn't get online. And it puzzled me. And so this story just tells you to always keep your mind open about possibilities of, just sort of put yourself in their shoes and try and walk through the process. So long story short, they couldn't connect to the internet. It turned out that their Wi-Fi was connected to the neighbor's router that used to be plugged in. And so that neighbor's router was, I guess, plugged into the power, but it was deactivated from the cable service, and they just left it plugged in. Maybe they moved out or whatever. So once in a while, when their Wi-Fi was low, it would just jump to this other connection, which was stronger, but had no internet connectivity at all. And so they would get a page that says your router is disabled because your cable company has expired or whatever, your contract, blah, blah. So she called up the cable company. They're like, no, you're fine. Like, what are you talking about? And she just was not aware that her Wi-Fi was connecting to someone else's. So I said, all right, go to system preferences, go to airport, and see your networks that you've connected to. What's the name of yours? Oh, mine's this. Okay, well, delete all the rest.
Forget those.
It's automatically connected to something else because she thought she was wired. And I said, well, follow that wire. And the wire was plugged into nothing. Well, they got her all set up and everything, and now she's fine. But, it's very hard to do these things when you're not there in person, especially with the environment you're not familiar with.
I was going to say, Grudy should know that Wi-Fi life.
Yeah.
That's a cheap one, Craig.
But it's true.
Wi-Fi node right next to me.
Yes. There you go.
Wait. You got a Wi-Fi right next to you, but where's it connected to?
And how's that working for your iMac?
Hey, his video quality is crystal clear.
Yeah, I'm hitting full speeds right now. Thank you.
Woo! That letter I sent you helped.
It's for what the internet is right now, anyway.
What about you there, Greg, since you're up?
Well, unfortunately, other than my uncle, who actually went to Macs before I did by a number of years, everyone that's currently alive in my family, they're all PC users. I was a PC user up until 2015. And I still occasionally use Windows 10 and stuff, so I'm not too far behind.
Damn, I've been using Macs longer than you then.
Yeah.
I think Mike has us all beat.
Yeah.
The only person that I support is my mother, and she's gotten better over the years. She's a lot more literate than she was. She knows how to not totally destroy her computer by clicking on a link. She basically only plays Flash games on her system and goes on the Facebook.
Yeah, that's a security nightmare.
Yeah, but still. Other than that, she doesn't really use it for a whole lot. And her brother, my other uncle, he thinks that he's very, very computer literate. And he is to a certain degree, but he installs some of the weirdest stuff on computers. And I've basically told her, don't let him touch your computer. Okay? And the system she uses, I custom built myself. It was part of the Parts PC series that I had on my channel a few years ago. And I just tried to log into it on TeamViewer and realized that I haven't updated TeamViewer on it, so I can't get into it now.
Yeah, that's what I ran into. You have to like get the older version and then try and do that.
Yeah, because apparently they finally switched it over. You have to have 14 to run it.
Yeah.
And hers is probably 12 or 13. I
Yeah.
never got around to updating
I
it.
think Mavericks doesn't let you use it uses like 12 or 13, so my dad's stuck on the old one.
You know, well, you can't log into it now according to TeamViewer. I just looked it up right now.
Yeah, even if that's right. Yeah, even if you have the older versions, that they just cut off the protocol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
I guess maybe
Yeah.
that's to combat some scammers or something. I don't know.
But
There's
yeah,
probably
It's one of the benefits of Apple Remote Desktop. I can connect from my Mojave machine to even Macs running OS 9 as long as remote management is enabled and the port is set.
yeah, that's
I
a
can
tricky
get
part.
into a system when it's still at the login screen. That's one of my biggest issues with TeamViewer is it doesn't activate until the end user logs in.
Yeah.
You know, if it's sitting there on the login screen, I just got
Well,
to put on my
actually,
thumbs. I
the
can't do
newer
anything.
version of TeamViewer, it will automatically activate even if it's not logged in. Then you can remote into it. I did that for my school computers.
Well, that's scary.
Yeah. It's pretty horrifying, but as long as it's secured with all the passwords and stuff, you shouldn't be worried about it.
Hey, Mike's cat is
Mike,
here.
since
Don't
your
be
cat,
afraid.
yeah, it's your turn now. Since the cat's,
And I thought my dogs would be a problem.
There's
I don't support anybody in my family. My family is so microscopic anymore that the only family I have is my stepdad, and he doesn't touch a computer. He doesn't even use a smartphone. He's got a flip phone. Missy, shut up! And
well,
the only
don't.
thing I have to do is I just have to hold his hand when he uses we just got a brand new emissions machine at work. I have to hold his hand when he does that.
Well, don't you have a
But
Mac
not
at work?
you. Yeah, but nobody uses it but me. And nobody in my family uses Mac. My brother and all of his kids all use Windows PCs, and my brother's an electrical engineer. He probably knows more about them than I do. So I'm lucky. I don't have to support my family. So I know it's kind of unexciting. But
Yeah. Well. So I'm looking through some of the chats there. Let's see. Not a whole lot in here about family support and everything. Brock says we're getting fiber up to home services with 50 gigabits per second upload and download. Wow.
oh, I miss that so much. I love that. I love that when
50
I had that through
gigabits.
Verizon.
Yeah.
How many gigabits?
50.
I'm paying for one, even though I'm only getting 10 megs right now. But I'm paying for one. Come on, 50, that's incredible. I didn't
fiber.
even know that was possible.
It's fiber. If you read it's getting fiber
Sheesh.
to the home. So that's how you get 50 gigabits. You don't live out in
I don't know
BFE.
where Brock lives, but he may have discovered where the cable runs. Just dug a trench, plunged right into it, right into the backbone.
He probably did. He lives in Louisiana, so it's not too difficult. They don't bury a lot. They don't bury a lot of stuff in Louisiana. Everything's pretty much above ground because the water table is just too low. And Brock will probably back me up on that. So, since we're talking about all these different ways we support stuff, now we're talking about that we came across a post today, and I'm going to segue into this. That,
Oh God,
yeah,
I'm ready for this.
the Pixlas Mod, okay? Someone in Mac Pro upgrades came out with a new way, I'll put it in air quotes, a new way to do the Pixlas Mod, which we're going to show you that I have no words for this home, I don't think, because to me, it's just totally ridiculous. Anyways, so here is the post up there. I can't even read it right now because it's so small on my screen. But anyways, he's talking about basically tapping into the actual lot or the backplane for the power and bypassing all the safety measures that are built into the backplane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me, that is the dumbest thing in the world to do. Okay, so that's the post that's up on the screen right now. But to be honest with you, I would never, never, ever recommend somebody do this. Okay.
If I can give my 2 cents.
Yeah, go for it.
When you splice the cable into the power supply, you still make use of the same protections that are in that power supply.
And in the backplane, because you're not touching the backplane.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
If there's a short or a feedback or something that goes into your board, then it'll be caught. The thing is, if you solder, I think it was like a 14 gauge wire directly onto the backplane. I don't know if those pictures are up
Oh,
yet.
it's up now.
And you put that directly onto the 6-pin connector on the other side of the board, and remove, I think, 1 or 2 resistors that keep tabs on the current sensing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You are just playing with fire. And I'm not
You just
saying
gotta
that-
lick it too.
Yeah, you should. I'm not saying that it doesn't work. I'm sure it will, but at least with the Pixlas Mod, we have certain variables that we can use to determine if it'll work, how it'll work, and all that. If you do this, all bets are off. Anything can happen.
Well,
You don't know what else is connected to those planes. If one of your hard drive shorts out or a PCI card has a problem, you don't know how this is going to affect what you're doing here. So I absolutely do not recommend this.
yeah, I definitely do not recommend this. For one reason, this is the biggest reason, is the safety features built into the Mac Pro's backplane will shut the computer down if it's drawing too much current through those mini 6-pins. Okay? If you get a video card that's theoretically way more than 150 watts that's going to draw off of there, it's not going to shut down. It's going to continue trying to draw. And guess what the power supply is going to do? It's going to provide it, because that's what the power supply does.
Burn a hole through the board.
And that's going to run through that board, and there's going to be nothing to shut it down. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to have a fried backplane. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this guy was posted in there, and there's a lot of people that were like, oh, yeah, sound like a cool idea. I was like, no, it is not.
No, it isn't.
I couldn't
In
comment
fact-
because somebody turned off the comments on it, so.
I turned it back on.
Oh, did you? They were off when I went to go look at it. But that is, to me, is the dumbest idea. I don't know the reason why he's doing it this way. I think because he said something about being able to pull the power supply out if you need it to.
It would be easily swappable, so you could just swap the power supply. The
If you
thing is,
do-
you're burning a hole through your board.
But-
You're going to need to replace more than that.
If you do the Pixlas mod like Jay has on his blog, you can pull out the power supply. Easy. It has little, blade connectors.
Yeah, but he means if he wanted to switch the power supply.
Yeah. Now, if they did it like Grudy did it and solder it, no. You won't be
And
able
bleed.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
No, and to be clear, we're not putting this in here as a way to shame this user. So
Yeah.
if you come upon this thread, be respectful.
Yeah.
PSA.
I'm all for someone discovered the Pixels mod by experimenting. So I'm all for that. As long as you use your own equipment, experiment away. But
But
the problem
we
with
don't
this was-
support it.
yeah, this was a post like, hey, look what I found. Everybody go do it. So we actually had to put some disclaimers on there.
Yeah.
But if it works and it turns out to be reliable and his Mac might survive us all, then great. But until we know more about it, be cautious.
Well, I'm thinking that just
Very cautious.
just by removing that shunt resistor is the biggest problem, because that's what actually protects your circuit. You don't want to remove something that's there for protection.
They put it there for a reason in the first place.
Exactly.
Those traces in the board were only designed to hold a certain wattage. So when you get past that, things start getting hot.
Yep.
Hot bad.
Well, very bad.
Very.
Fire bad.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think Jay did an article on this about how much power can go through a certain gauge of wire. Okay, we still don't know what gauge those traces are, because it's inside. It's in a middle layer somewhere on that back plane. Those traces, so you don't know how big they are, or how much wattage that those things can actually handle.
Yeah.
And Jay wrote a very good article on that. And Jay, if you want to link it in the chat there, you can. But I mean, it was a very good article that he wrote about that. And it was one basically saying that he was not wrong about the Pixlas Mod, but he wasn't right about the Pixlas Mod, you know? So, I mean, Jay was very honest about it.
Lots of
It's one
research.
of the few times where I was honest.
Yeah, that is true. But, you know.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, these things were built in America, or at least for the most part, designed and stuff in America. The supply chain was very strict. We never got schematics and board views for those models, so we don't exactly know how everything on the board interfaces with each other. So to do a mod like this, in my opinion, is just too risky to risk in some configurations, $2,000 machine still today.
I
You know,
agree.
so I don't know.
Well, because not only could you blow out the back plane, which you could probably get a new one for a couple $100, but because you're taking that protection out of there, guess what? It's also you could fry other things that are connected to it, you know?
PSU, the GPU, anything else plugged into the
Everything.
system.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ooh, I got to turn on
Nice.
What is that?
Yeah.
my old Engage QD. I went from this to a first gen iPhone. What a jump!
That's a huge jump.
But anyways, guys, that's just our recommendation on this. I recommend
don't
myself don't do it. But I mean, the guy it could work forever for him, but if he puts a power hungry GPU in there, then it's all bets are probably off.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy that put a Vega 64 in his Mac. He pushed it to the very limits, and he got shutdowns.
Yep.
Then he did a different cable configuration, and it worked. Then he did a Pixlas mod, and of course it worked. It's 2019. By the time most of the people can afford a 2019 Mac Pro, we're in 2025 or further down the road. In the meantime, more and more powerful cards are going to emerge that will work probably in our Mac Pros currently.
The thing is, the more and more powerful cards are going to be more powerful in compute, but maybe not in power consumption.
Well, yeah, you're right.
True.
But it's, it's a big risk. It's kind of like, do I buy this thing that I need from this website, or do I buy this thing that I need from OWC?
Well, here's the thing, though.
It's a big risk that you don't want to take, so you never buy from OWC.
Well, here's the thing, too.
Now to our sponsor, OWC.
The dual processor graphics cards that the new Mac Pro has in it. Okay, remember that thing has another power lane just for that thing, because that thing sucks down a lot of power.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you imagine some new cards?
It's not all for power, though. A lot of that is for extra
Bandwidth.
PCI Express
understand that,
lanes
but-
so that you get more
But
bandwidth.
it is also for power too. That's what at least Apple said, because you don't plug
Yeah,
anything
it
into
provides
that one.
power as well.
Yeah. So you think about it, a double GPU video card in there. We don't have any of those right now, as far as I know, that I've seen. But you're probably going to start seeing them come out soon, because if that thing
Well, wait a minute. You said double GPU.
two graphic processing units on one card.
It's been around
NVIDIA's
for
done that
years.
since
It's just-
the
Rocky, we had this discussion. You lost. Stop it.
No, NVIDIA has had dual GPU cards since around what was it, the 8900?
Okay,
No, not
and
that.
how
It would be the
much-
290.
How much power?
290's been dual.
How much power does those things
Guys,
draw?
guys. But even though there's been dual GPU cards for years now, OS X has never supported dual GPU cards on one card. On two cards, it works, but on one card, it will only see one GPU if it even sees that.
Yeah.
True.
And to fill in the blank, that PCI slot, whatever Apple calls it in new Mac Pro, it's not just bandwidth. It supplies an additional 475 watts to a single card. That is an insane amount of power. I don't even know
Well,
what
you got to remember what
when
the
that shorts out.
power supply is. What, a 1900 watt power supply
Something like
or
that.
something like that they put in
Was
it?
it that much?
It was
1.4.
1.4, so it's still beefier than what we have in our,
Oh yeah,
Mac Pros now.
absolutely. I
Oh my
want to
God,
see
if I turned one of those on, the lights would dim.
So like I said, guys, we don't recommend you doing this. So if you're a member of Mac Pro Upgrade, be respectful in there, but don't take that with a grain of salt. I just would not recommend
We
it.
don't support the mod. If it works for him, more power to him. We wouldn't recommend it.
more power to the GPU and the rest of the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, guys. So I think we beat this one into the ground.
I just wanted to
go
show
for it.
that with iPhone, I had an apple on the background.
Ah.
And that's a photo of the original Apple logo that was hanging in the Fifth Avenue store in New York when it opened. So I took that picture and made it my background.
Cool.
I got to see the original Apple logo before they remodeled the place.
Yeah.
Hey, I see something not on this list that you were playing with earlier, Steve.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, Steve.
Remember?
Steve has.
I have my list open here.
Steve just had a live.
I was
what
looking
it,
forward to
last
it.
night. I think you had a live,
Yes.
and you were playing around with this neat little doohickey.
That's on the list. On my list.
Little doohickey.
That's right.
Yeah,
All right, hold on, buds.
because the next topic is, I mean, we're going to talk about something else, but yeah.
Yeah, but we can.
And then your archive adventures are not included.
You tell me when you want me to go, and I'll go.
Well,
How
I'll
about
tell you
that?
what. Let's go ahead to our next topic here, and then we'll go into that.
Thank you.
All right, gives you some time to get it set up again. All right, so our next topic tonight is apps that have gone poof from the App Store. As you guys know, there's a lot of. Remember, when we first came out, the iPhone was 32-bit, and then now they got rid of all 32-bit apps and went to 64-bit apps only. Well, some of the app developers decided not to update their apps because there's a few apps out there that I wish that the developers would still update, but they haven't. So what we want to talk about is apps that you used back in the day that you wish they still had today.
I can think of one right offhand.
Yep.
It was one of my dad's favorite games. It was Flight Control.
Oh, dude, that's the one I was
Oh,
going to
yeah.
say. That's what I was going to say. Because I love
Yeah.
that game.
It
I
was a
still
fun
have an old
game. I
iPad
never
just
could
for
really
that.
do it.
Yeah. That
I never
game,
could really play it very well.
yeah, that
but
game was
my
the
dad
best
loved it.
ever. And I used to play it with my son
Okay.
because you could do two-player mode against somebody, and he'd have his iPhone, I'd have mine, and we'd play Flight Control while sitting in a restaurant waiting for our table to be called. So we'd be sitting,
Yeah.
we'd sit there and play Flight Control.
My dad and I did that too.
Mhm. That was one of the best ones, and I don't know why they never updated to 64-bit. Or
Just probably maybe the development team moved on. They didn't have the resources or
They
something.
probably moved
know.
on.
yeah,
I mean, that's a sad reality of a lot of these apps that were huge at the time. I mean, absolutely
Giant.
like ridiculous. Like Tap Tap Revenge. You remember that?
yep.
It was like a Guitar Hero
Yep.
type thing. That was like a huge hit. Apple put it on their homepage for the iPod Touch and everything. I mean,
It's gone?
it's just
Huh.
gone. Well, I don't know if they remade some of these. I just remember that it's no longer available. The iPhone, when the App Store first came out, if you go to my purchase history in iTunes and scroll 1 billion times to the bottom, it's a laundry list of apps that are just not around anymore.
Yep.
Tip calculators.
Like iBeer.
Oh yeah, or I fart, pull my finger, all that joke stuff. That
What about the I Am Rich?
Yeah, the one with the
That
big
was
jewel
on
or whatever.
tour for one day.
Yeah, I have.
That was. I don't know how long it was in the store for, but I used it so much. It was a fake. You could set a timer, set a name, set a fake phone number, and at the timer you specified, it would fake an incoming call.
Oh, nice.
I used the crap out of that. It
Nice.
saved me from so many situations. It's gone. It's gone now.
Some of the great. I missed out on a lot of apps that they removed from the store, and I didn't get a chance to buy them.
Yep.
But 2 I used for the longest time. One was called QuasiDisk, and it was basically a file management utility with a hidden tethering option. And so this was before you could legally tether with AT&T, because for the longest time, remember, the iPhone was only AT&T.
Yeah.
So I bought this app. It was like $5 or whatever. And if you tap things a certain way, you can enable tethering. And I didn't use it a lot, but I did have that, and that was pretty fun. The other one, I think it was like a DOSBox emulator. It was called iDOS or something like that.
Yeah.
And it has a very, it was an iPad app. And so you open it on the iPad and you see it looks like an old 486 PC with the keyboard and everything. And you could actually install Windows 3.1 and Internet Explorer or whatever. I think you could maybe even do 95. And at the time, it was like, hey, look, Safari won't render this web page, but Internet Explorer might be able to. But I mean, that was, those apps are just like pulled. But those are just some of the pulled ones that.
Well, since you mentioned it, there's a lot of apps that I used to get back in the day when I was still really plugged into the latest news on apps and stuff. Because I don't exactly remember how many years ago this was, but every app had an Easter egg, like the tethering or something cool. And you would install this garbage app that you would never use except for that hidden Easter egg feature. And the app would be pulled within a day, but you would have it already. I can't remember any specific ones, but I used to do that a lot.
There was, I think it was a calendar app actually, I think there was a calendar one, calculator app, that if you typed in a certain equation, it would enable tethering.
Oh, actually,
That
I think
sounds
that one
familiar,
came
yeah.
out and the Apple pulled it because it was actually designed to do that. It was actually a fake. It was a real calculator. It would work and everything, but it was nefarious because it was basically made to do that.
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
That's the whole.
That
That's the whole
was the
seller.
exact point of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Another good app that I used to like, and it was a game app. It was Crossword by USA Today. You would get the daily USA Today crossword puzzle. I paid
That's
for
cool.
the app, and there was no subscription for it or anything. It was just a one-time payment, and you'd get the Sunday puzzles, and you could do it, or you get the daily puzzles, and I used to love that one. But then guess what? They never updated it, and it's gone.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Mike, what the hell, dude?
What
He's
is
doing
this?
a cat
Welcome-
app.
Welcome to my life.
It looks like what my
That-
dog
that-
does to me sometimes.
That explains all the
worry
cat
about it.
hair inside of the iMac that he gave me.
Yeah.
Don't worry, the Pomsky does that to me all the time.
I
fact,
remember. Oh,
My
sorry, go on.
Dane still tries to do it.
Yeah, but you have 2 dogs. I have 11 cats.
Rocky,
Wow.
you haven't heard any apps that you said that you used.
Well,
Well, he did a whole rant on it. Remember?
oh, but that was different. That was that wasn't because they were 32-bit. No, I have one app that they didn't update, and I want it back. Is Death Smiles. It's a fun side-scrolling shooter game, and they brought it to the iPhone. I had it for a while, enjoyed playing it, and then updated past to their 64, and the developer never updated it.
Well, here's another one too, something like that. It's a side scroller, Flappy Bird.
Oh yeah. Remember when people were selling devices on eBay just because they had Flappy Bird
that thing
installed?
went viral.
I still got it installed.
Yeah. It's a
Well,
it's a fun little time waster.
I've got a
you know?
good one. There was one called Cheap Happens. It was this guy had you'd run across the field or whatever he was running, a racing track or something like that. He was running, and he'd have to jump over obstacles, and you'd try to get the highest score on the distance you could go.
Oh,
I think one of these has that game actually.
yeah, one of those
I
like
still
endless
have that
runners.
on. I want to say one of my iPod touches, but it never got updated.
Yeah, I think one of these phones has it
Well,
actually. That was a game my daughter
Brock
played.
had asked a question. He says, "What happens when you pay for an app but they never update it?" 648. Well, I think we answered that kind of.
You're screwed.
Well, you basically
Yeah, you're
keep older
screwed.
hardware around to do it, to use it. I mean,
I paid for the paid version of text free, and literally a freaking month after it came, I paid for it. It became free, and I lost all the.
Oh my gosh,
pages
Flappy Bird is
support.
on this.
Well, they were able to make it free because of generous contributions like yours.
Up, he
Oh my
froze it.
god, I didn't know that was on here.
There you go.
Yeah.
Greg is
Hey.
forever frozen. You shamed.
hey,
him.
you should
There you go.
should be able to sell that for about $30,000 now.
No, I'm not selling it.
Well, that's why I keep my iPad. I can't. It was the original model, so it's stuck on iOS 5. So that's stuck on there. The iPad Mini 2 I refuse to update because again, it has those. It's the Mini 2 model, and it has some
Mine-
apps that are 32-bit, and I don't want to upgrade it because it's gonna kill it.
Yeah.
I have these great. One is an animation reference app by Richard Williams, and he just passed away a few days ago. And he did like this whole masterclass of this app, and I don't think it's 64-bit, but it's one of these apps that I paid for. I have it on my iPad, and I'll go back and I'll reference it and I'll use it. But it's one of those things that if that's not updated, it's not going to be available anywhere else. So I'm going to keep it on my iPad. And a lot of apps just like get pulled from the store. Like you used to see these a lot when Blu-rays were brand new. It was this feature called second screen. If anybody has used that before, essentially you buy a DVD, comes with the free app, you put it on your tablet. As you watch the movie, little trivia tracks come up. They show you behind the scenes stuff. It's really cool because there's stuff that extra content is only on that tablet app. And I kick myself because some of them I updated those apps, and what the update to the app did was it deleted the content from the app itself. And what that app did, it then phoned home and grabbed and streamed the content. So those servers are long gone. And because I updated that app, the video content that was once on the previous version is now gone, and that's never, available ever again. So it's like just like the App Store stuff. Like when it's pulled, it's pulled. I know the Internet Archive is doing some projects to try and, have like iPhone simulator type things to keep those apps running, which is really nice. But it's just like one of these things where the apps just disappear. I'm trying to think of like the earliest iPhone apps I used. Twinkle was one. It was like a Twitter client. But what was cool is there was a thing, you tapped it and it was like local. So it didn't matter if you followed the person, but it was like who was around you speaking about whatever. And I just remember going to different, parts of town and be like, oh, what's they talking about? It's interesting. But I'm trying to think of other
True
apps.
social media.
Yeah,
Because you had to be social to use the media.
and you had to be close to somebody. Yeah, there was Twinkle. Tweetbot for a while was not really working, and then they updated it.
Well, that was because
So-
Twitter changed their APIs, and every time Twitter changes their APIs, it screws everything up.
One that I was just thinking of, Dice X Motion or Dice Motion X. It was just a gimmicky thing. There were 3D dice, and you shook the phone and rolled the dice. and that's gone. But it was just like one of those gimmicky apps that was like the first, few months in the App Store. That was pretty neat. And like Greg or Rocky was saying, sometimes you buy a game and all of a sudden it's gone now. It's kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
Yep. That's,
And
how I
that's-
lost Death
Really
Smile.
frustrating.
Anybody remember that one game that came out with the original iPhone? The where you had like the little it demonstrated the motion sensors, where you had the little metal ball and it was you go through the maze.
Oh, Labyrinth.
Yeah,
Labyrinth.
that was a cool one
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember having that on the
Super Monkey
iPad.
Ball.
Super Monkey Ball was one of the
Yeah.
first ones. Yeah, I bought
Monkey
that. Yeah.
Ball.
Flappy Birds is hard.
That's what made it so addictive.
Now the Labyrinth one, I used that when I got my iPhone 3G, brand new. The accelerometer was broken, so when I got it replaced at the store, I downloaded that app to make sure the accelerometer worked.
Genius.
Yeah, I was like, I need to know how it tilts. And the guy's like, you could have just used Safari, and I'm like, this is more fun.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I really don't have any others that come to mind. My dad uses those YouTube downloaders a lot.
Oh yeah.
So when I got him a new iPad, it's like, I don't see the apps. It's because it's been removed.
Mhm.
Oh, that's the third one I tried. And they're going to keep getting removed. So just stop. Just don't.
I used to have a trick, and I haven't done it in a long time, but when iTunes used to sync with your phone, it would download the apps, the actual
The IPSW
files, the apps. Yeah, and so I would use like the iPhone configurator tool or whatever to manually install those apps onto like my iPad or whatever. So I wouldn't have to do the whole sync just to install the app. And as long as you bought it using the same App Store ID and everything, it's fine. But for a while, that's how I was, getting some older versions of apps, because some of them just remove functionality. This VNC Lite viewer that I use all the time, I should probably just pay the $5 for it. But the free version worked fine. And now, since they updated it, there's a 5-minute limit. And after 5 minutes, it closes your connection. You have to reconnect again. So it's, I don't know.
Now, I used to use that all the time. When my phone synced, I used to go into the actual folder where all the apps were kept, and I would archive the ones, the older
nice.
versions. I would put them into a zip file, move them to another folder, and
I
that's
do
how
the
I
same
was
thing.
able to get old apps back, but they stopped doing that.
Yeah, what about you guys in the chat? Any apps that
I haven't seen too many.
you wish you
yeah.
had?
I've been reading it.
I just saw something about a $999 app.
Well, no, Londo
that
was
was the
asking. That was
lap-
that I Am Rich app. It was $999, and all it did was had a big red dot right there, and that's all it did.
Like a
Yeah.
Ruby, yeah.
God.
Yeah, apps are no longer supported by iTunes. There was a version exclusively for businesses that let you manage apps, but that doesn't work with Mojave. So you're stuck using High Sierra if you want to manage apps via iTunes. But apparently, what is it in Catalina? There's like a way to manage apps through the Mac OS now.
Well, that's
or something?
because they're putting it's going to be
Really?
part of the OS. Remember,
Or
they're
manage the phone,
they're
rather.
kind of
I don't
merging
know about that.
iOS and Mac OS in Catalina,
Like the phone management. Yeah.
which
some of it is just licensing,
Resident Evil
too.
4.
Yeah, I think some of it's just like licensing. Like Capcom will license something or Sega will license something to another company, and it'll be for a few years. And after that license agreement, they don't want to renew or they don't want to update it, and they'll just axe it, which is sad.
Neo, yes, you're
Plus-
right. In Catalina, they split up iTunes. iTunes no longer has any apps in it or anything. iTunes is just music only now. Then you have the Apple TV app, which is for TV and movies. And then you have the App Store, which is just for apps. So they kind of split all those. And then they got podcasts. So they split podcasts off too. So you're not going to see everything all in one in iTunes anymore. That's all getting split
I'm all
off.
for that.
$5 says they'll put it all together again in the
Well,
future.
Give them time; they probably will.
Yeah,
And it'll all be on the Plus
front-loaded
model.
apps.
Well, I think them putting the podcasts in a separate app versus iTunes was a good thing.
Yeah, you don't want to compete with paid content or
Yeah.
movies
absolutely.
and stuff.
But the thing is, iTunes started off strong as well, and then it became bloated. Now they have to split it up in 3 apps. Those 3 apps are going to grow and get bloated. Then we're going to have 9 apps because then they're going to need 3 apps each to undo the bloat, and we're going to end up with 36 apps at some point because they just keep adding crap to it.
That's called job security for the
Even
developers.
the App Store is just bloated right now. I mean, if you go to the App Store, trying to search for something is a pain. Yeah. Try to search for Mojave, and you get everything in there but Mojave.
Yeah.
Those poor people that are looking for what's the version they removed, Sierra, and you can't find it. You get all these like videos and crap. Get someone's grandma on there, they'll buy the wrong thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the other thing. I think a lot of these apps that don't work anymore, Apple routinely will say they're doing an audit or whatever, and they'll just remove 32-bit apps or apps that haven't been updated in so long. Because if you don't renew your developer, yearly thing, that's it. Your apps are taken off the store.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's a good scam.
Very good one.
And guess who has the keys to it all? Apple.
Yeah.
Apple.
Let's see if Apple's writing me a check for my app that's still on there.
All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic. This one, I didn't come up with anything this week. So Jay came up again. We're going to do for what they were smoking. We're going to let you guys in the audience go out. You got 5 minutes or so to go out and find us the most ridiculous priced item you can. It could be on eBay. It could be on Craigslist. It could be on Marketplace. Anywhere you could find a ridiculously priced item that we have not seen yet. So we're going to call you out if we've seen it already.
The winner for tonight gets to shoot Rocky in the face in an Unreal Tournament if he decides to show up.
And he has to sit still and let us kill him 20 times.
No. It's not happening.
You agreed to this off camera, Rocky.
I did
not.
Yes, you did.
I did not. Notice how they say off camera.
Exactly.
Whose camera?
No, no evidence here.
Ah, damn it.
Oh, someone started timer. Wait, I got the timer.
I've already started timing. You can keep while we're talking. They could be looking for stuff.
All right.
Yep.
I'm not looking for anything because that's what I do every week. I try to find the most ridiculous thing. I just didn't do it this week, so.
Dana says he's seen a Power Mac 9600 for $3,700 or something.
I'm rich.
We need a link. Need a link.
Yeah, okay.
You can't say you saw it.
Dana, we know better than take your word for anything.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to need a link.
Especially Dana, yeah.
Yeah, I can't trust that guy. I'm eating dinner now.
I'm going to start calling him Lando again instead of Londo.
My phones.
Oh, he's eating dinner now, but can't be bothered. But he could type to us. That's almost a bad excuse as Grudy saying, "I have no internet."
Hey, I could send messages, but I couldn't even stream YouTube for the longest time.
You could upload just fine.
No, it took me over an hour to upload that 5-minute video to you guys.
Yeah, but it was like a gigabyte. So an hour that's pretty good actually.
Not really.
All right, Dana's having a stroke, so let's move on.
It's on Fleabay.
If you have something, post it in Discord because on YouTube it doesn't always work to paste the
Well, it
link.
depends on how long the link is. If it's like over 200 characters in length, it won't post it. I found that out the hard way.
And sometimes it just blocks links in general.
Well, it basically will let us as moderators see it first, and we have to approve it. So.
Well, no, sometimes it will just block them, period, even before we get to see
I don't know why it does that. That's kind of stupidity.
Security purposes.
Stupid YouTube.
Hey, look, I found my first iPod charger.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think I have one of those.
I have
these
one
things
too.
were neat.
Did I give it to you when you were here?
Ah,
No,
look
yeah,
who's on
you've
his
given
little
me one.
play toy now.
Nobody knows yet.
No, yeah, you can see it because
It's all glitching
It's
out.
glitching, yeah.
Let's not give it away.
I'll wait.
Yeah. So
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 bad.
Londo goes, just go to eBay and view vintage computers by price high to low.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
too
there you go.
easy. Come on. We're challenging you guys.
Exactly. Come on, guys. You're running out of time. Come on, find something.
Nobody wants to shoot Rocky in the face? Come on.
We've got
Oh my
16
God.
people on here. One of you guys can find something.
Rocky, nobody wants to shoot you in the face, man. You should be happy about that.
Wow.
Wow, Steve, your video feed is just messed up.
Yeah, you'll see why in a second here, bud.
You must have missed his live yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, I missed a lot of things yesterday. They were fixing the internet at the time. Fixing the internet.
Fixing,
It's still
yeah.
messed up.
When you see me with a composite cable in my hand, there's a reason why the image is growing quality.
It looks like you're froze now.
Yeah, I probably did.
Yeah, you're froze on Skype.
Hold
That
on.
is.
Hold on. Wires are being plugged into things.
All right, time is up.
Yeah, time's up. So I guess nobody's a winner. So I guess we're not having a what
Nope.
they were smoking thing tonight.
We do not. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Okay.
So what is our next? Oh, well, basically we could go over to Steve and his little toy. Because I don't have anything else.
Oh, wait, we got a last minute entry. Christopher says 128K Macintosh for 1,500. Is that ridiculous enough?
Where's the
Oh
link?
yeah, it's
You
ridiculous
gotta show us the
enough
link.
if we have a link to it.
Yeah, we need a link.
We got 2 links from Neo on Discord. Extremely rare Apple iPod first generation working collection. All original boxes, $85,000.
What?
Whoa.
Oh, wait, whoa.
Jeez.
Is that the one we've seen before, I think?
No, that was a Mac. This is an iPod collection.
No, I've seen that one before if it's an iPod. Oh, it's an iPod collection. Whoa. Let's see. Let me go look at this real quick.
I would declare Neo the winner on this one.
Well, hold on now. For 85,000, yeah. It looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 iPods there.
And the book too.
I've actually read that book, I Was. That's a good book.
A lot of those were good books. I love the Steve Jobs one.
Hey, at least he has them open. They're not like sealed in box, so that's probably devalues it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that devalues it to about $200 for the whole collection.
Okay, package includes Billie Holiday iPod, Jimi Hendrix iPod, Bob Marley iPod, John Lennon iPod, iPhone first generation, iPod second generation. Oh, he has the iPhone first generation original box with matching serial numbers. Includes everything original when first bought from Apple. iPod second generation, iPod third generation, an iTrip FM transmitter, iPod first generation holder, brand new volume control connector for iPod, still wrapped in plastic, never used. Brand new iPod first generation brochure, vintage Apple postcard, blah blah blah, all this other stuff. So I would still say, yeah, that's a ridiculous price for that though. Still, 85,000.
Yeah, I think
ridiculous.
Neo takes it home tonight.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
Shipping at least.
I would hope so.
So, Neo, you get to shoot Rocky in the face in the Unreal Tournament, but as Londo's so rightfully points out, he might probably chicken out. So,
Oh, wait.
don't
Mike,
get your hopes up.
Mike just posted something. Let's go look. Is that the same one? Oh, wait. vintage 1988 Apple IIc Plus computer system for $1,575.
Yeah, that's a bit overpriced, but man, is it
Well,
nice
it comes with a printer,
It's very
disk
very
drive.
pretty, but not $1,500 pretty.
Yeah,
It looks brand
it
new.
looks brand new. It's no yellowing.
What are we talking about?
The link
I've
Mike
never
put in
seen a
there.
platinum that's actually platinum.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's no
Yeah.
yellowing on there.
I think Neo wins.
Yeah, I think Neo does win.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike, you can't shoot
I
Rocky
can't.
in the face.
That's okay. I'm usually in bed by the time you guys start shooting anyway.
All right, I think Steve is trying to tell us something.
No, I'm just dicking around. So
Did you
yeah,
just draw that?
yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
That's his
Yeah.
go-to, man. The smiley face.
yeah. So this is what I'm playing around with. If you guys didn't see my stream, is this Sony Edit Studio thing, and it's gonna be laggy as hell. So sorry guys, but I'm using like a very convoluted setup just to try and project this thing here. But basically what it does is it allows you to draw and put titles on composite video. And it's going to go through this weird demo thing that it's doing right now. So basically you could overlay things on video. And it was meant so like you have your camcorder and you have a VCR, so you had to be rich. And you would put the camcorder feed through this, draw a title on it, and you'd make like a tape with titles and stuff. It's pretty neat. It was broken, and I was able to fix it. And it's just a stupid little thing to play with, but I'm having fun with it.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, it's too much fun,
Too much
probably.
But
But
what was the price of that originally? Do you know?
I don't know. I was trying to look it up. I'm gonna guess it was probably 200 bucks, something like that. Because my friend had one that was like a knockoff of this. Because the parts weren't too pricey back in the early 90s because it was using old CPUs. I think there's a Zilog Z80 in here or something like that. You know, pretty rudimentary stuff for like the early 90s, but it seems like there were a few different versions of this weird thing. So
Hey, don't say rudimentary. Zilog still makes the Z80.
I'm saying rudimentary compared to like the computers at the time.
Well,
that
there's
were,
still
like,
some groups out there that do nothing but Z80 processing.
Which just shows. I mean, this thing. Watch this. So this, I could overlay a thought bubble here. I could go and write in it. I could say like, I smell, or something. And I'll just put my head under there. Whatever.
Yeah, it is. You are getting a lot of.
Yeah, I
weird,
can't control that.
Yeah, it's. I think it's just part of the video setup.
It's part of the charm.
It's probably a syncing problem. With
I'm
the-
sure it is, but
Yeah.
there's like this little rainbow thing. Like it just draw rainbows. And it'll just do that. What's cool is I was playing around with this the other day. So it has 2 frame stores. So I'm drawing Pac-Man. Okay. I'm going to go to page 2. And I'm going to draw Pac-Man closed. Okay. And I could swap between that.
Well, right now you're.
I wish I could see what
Yeah,
you're talking
okay.
about.
Yeah.
Well,
all
you'll
I-
see in a second. I'll keep doing it.
Well, yeah, because that interference is coming up every time it.
Oh, maybe it's broken. Who knows?
Yeah, it's not doing it now.
Oh, here, let me switch to just the camera, and I'll just point the camera at the damn screen. How about that? Do it the technical way here. So, let's point the camera at the screen here, if you guys can still see it.
Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
I can push the button, and I could
see.
switch between things here. So, yeah, it's pretty neat. It's got a little menu, and you could draw on it and everything. So, that's my weird thing for today. So, you've been very patient. Thank you.
Pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
My patience was just about to run out, so good time.
I can sense that. That's why I stopped.
All right, guys. So that's about it for the night. So we're just gonna go to our shameless promotions. So anybody got anything going on with their channels?
Oh, I do.
Go ahead, Greg.
I was just featured with Colin, well, sort of. We were sort of featured on Crazy Ken's most recent video, which premiered an hour before the show started. So if you head over to the Computer Clan, you can see my iBook G4 clamshell, which Colin and I built. And it's a fun video. You guys really need to check it out.
Cool. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll bite. I got the same guy that I mentioned earlier that tried a Vega 64 in his Mac and ran into some issues. He upgraded the CPU. So he already barely had enough power to power his GPU, but he upgraded his processors to the 130 watt apiece. So that should be interesting. But I got a good deal on his used 6-core 3.06 chips. So
Nice.
I have a 2009 Mac Pro behind me that I'm going to be delidding these and installing them in there, put some RAM in there. And because it's only been done a million times, I'm going to make one more video about delidding because I don't really have anything else to record right now that I want to spend a lot of time on. I also, completely unrelated, I ordered a new microscope, so I'm going to be reviewing that when it comes in. And maybe sometime this century I will get a 23-inch display to clean and a prototype hard drive to explore. Who knows when that's going to happen, but that's going to be
Hey,
videos
you
as
want
well.
to clean my 23-inch display?
As long as I can keep it.
Well, yeah, you're not keeping it.
That should shut him up.
That's it for me.
Anybody else before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm working on a video about the iMac, so I'm doing a follow-up for that. Something was supposed to arrive on Friday for me to continue that video, and it got delayed till Monday. So I'm going to shoot as much as I can and just wait for that to come. So probably be posted next week sometime. But yeah, so that's what I'm busy working on, and I get distracted by things like analog video titlers. So.
Oh, speaking of iMac, that reminds
Oh,
me.
Greg. Whoa.
Yeah, my mid-2007, the backlight inverter blew on it.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I'm going to probably be doing a video of me swapping the inverter out on this soon, too.
Just bleed on it. That'll fix it.
Yeah.
It needs a sacrifice to continue
Well,
working.
you know, a video from Greg is going to have blood in it.
Yeah, usually.
The iMac video, I cut myself on the plastic. That plastic's sharp, so hopefully Greg isn't spreading any curses to me.
I probably am. Sorry.
It's contagious.
Yep. All right, guys. Anything else?
You?
All right, guys.
Yeah.
So if you want to hang out with us, some of us will be on Discord after the live tonight. So we have a voice channel. You can come talk to us. Some of us may be over there a little bit later to talk. So make sure you like and subscribe both YouTube and Facebook. Also, we have a Twitter account now, so make sure you follow the Twitter. If you can put that in the chat
Since
there.
when did we get a Twitter?
See,
Since I did it,
See, you've been gone too long.
because YouTube's notifications are weird. So
Exactly.
The
That's
last time Greg was here was episode 16, so forgive him for being out.
16. No. It was like,
It was
17.
No, it was in the
31 or
20s because
something
we're
like
on
that.
37 now.
I think it was 31.
yeah, so the handle is MacYak Podcast, MacYakPodcast. So follow that on Twitter if you do that.
Yep.
Nice.
Check out the description, info, and links. We'll have all of our links to all our channels are down there, as well as the Discord link. Spread the word. Tell your friends about us. So, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and we will catch you guys next Thursday.
Bye, guys.
See you later.
See ya.